There's a lot going on in the country after yesterday's election results, but today we're focusing specifically on Tamil Nadu, where we've had such a marquee election result, but the matter has not been resolved yet because the victorious Vijay is still about 11 seats short of forming a government. So in this video, we're going to talk about who Vijay is, what his legacy is, so what kind of chief minister he's likely to be, or what kind of administrator he's likely to be, and most importantly, where are those 11 seats going to come from in order for him to form that government. But before I tell you all of these interesting things also we'll talk about how he managed to win this election and why this one was actually different from everything else we've seen, perhaps in the country up till now. Remember to like, share and subscribe to my channel and sign up for the membership because we put out a news bulletin every day that you might find very useful. Towards the end of this video, I will also tell you how Vijay's campaign was very similar to say a Zoran Mamdani's campaign and how that could actually set a new tone for what campaign should be like going forward and why that might change campaigns across the country as far as the elections are concerned. But first, let's talk about what happened yesterday. Actor turned politician Vijay's Tamilaga Vettri Kazhagam, which is the TVK, created a record of sorts when it became the largest single party only 2 years after it was formed. And it got 108 seats. It delivered a shock defeat to the DMK, which came in at 59. There was a point during the day where the DMK looked like the number 3 party, but it ended at number 2. Although DMK leader MK Stalin, who was the incumbent chief minister, lost his seat. AIADMK was pushed to the 3rd spot at 47 seats. The TVK clocked 35% vote share in its debut polls. This is the first time in Tamil Nadu that a party will assume power only 2 years after its founding, which was in 2004. The Tamil Nadu governor has accepted the resignation of Chief Minister MK Stalin and his Council of Ministers and asked Stalin to continue in office until alternate arrangements have been made. And this has happened because Vijay, while victorious, is still falling short. Let me tell you what those numbers are looking like. TVK has emerged as the single largest party, and now the entire focus is shifted to Vijay, because he has 108, the Tamil Nadu Assembly is 234, so the halfway mark is 118. So technically he needs 10 more MLAs, but Vijay actually contested 2 seats, both of which he won, which means he's going to have to give one up and only keep one, so he will need that extra one as well. So altogether he needs 11 seats in order to cross that halfway mark. Now the TVK has 108, the DMK has 59, the AIADMK has 47. He has positioned himself as completely anti-DMK and completely anti-right-wing politics. So that leaves the 2 big guys off the table. Then there's the Congress, the PMK with 4, the Congress has 5, the IUML with 2, CPI has 2, CPIM has 2, and the VCK has 2. The BJP, the DMDK, and the AMMK have one seat each. There's a long tail of smaller parties. The BJP is one of those parties. So which of these is he likely to actually form an alliance with? That's the question we're going to ask. But first, let's get to know 51-year-old Vijay. They're calling him a youth leader, but in Indian politics, the word youth is used very loosely. We use it on Rahul Gandhi, who's also well past the age of 50. So Vijay is 51 years old. And in many ways, it is not just a political party, it's an extension of his cinematic persona. Now, as a politician, he's sort of continuing the persona that he crafted on screen, which we've sort of seen happen in the past. So what normally happens in Tamil Nadu is that you will have like a big star like MGR, who on screen is someone who fights for the poor, who's a vigilante and who delivers justice, and then off screen people continue to vote with that idea in mind. So over the years, Vijay has built a cinematic image that he sort of seamlessly extended into real life. And he's perceived as a Anna, or the older brother, the protector, the leader, the vigilante, someone who is close and familiar and deeply rooted in everyday life. And the image that he has built is someone who has a very simple sort of outlook. He keeps his personal life very private. He seems like a really next door everyday guy who has become a hero. After Rajinikanth and Kamal Haasan, Vijay is perhaps the only contemporary actor who has been able to dominate the market with this kind of consistency and scale. The fans call him Thalapathy, which means commander. Actually, initially when he started off as a younger actor, he was called Ilayya Thalapathy, which means young commander. But as he got older, Ilayya was dropped, he just became the commander. And he sort of then formed his political project back in 2009 when he created his fan clubs. Now, this is another thing specific to the South. Most of these big stars have very powerful fan clubs, and these fan clubs almost become sort of like cadre workers, and they listen very closely for instructions from the superstar and they follow those instructions. The fan clubs are all over the world and they're very tight knit and they feel very strongly about their star and everything that he believes in. So, which is why a lot of the times in the South, whether it is Chiranjeevi or Rajinikanth or Kamal Haasan or any of the stars before them, remember MGR, Jayalalitha, these people were all in the movies, it becomes easier for them to transition into creating a party because they have fan clubs that are so loyal and can be converted into cadre quite quickly. The difference though, and we've seen, even with Rajinikanth and Kamal Haasan, they formed parties, but Kamal Haasan formed a party, but he wasn't able to really translate it into anything because the messaging was not as clear as the messaging that Vijay brought in. Now, in 2009, Vijay unveiled a flag for his fan clubs, and the slogan for it was "You can do it" in Tamil. And according to many fans, this was a symbol that his ambitions were stretching beyond the silver screen and he possibly was going to look at politics as well. So Vijay's full name is Joseph Vijay Chandrasekhar. He started his career as a child actor in the 80s. He was launched as a lead actor in 1992 by his own parents, S.A. Chandrasekhar, who was the producer, and playback singer Shobha Chandrasekhar. And as far back as 2013, his film Thalaiva, with the tagline "Time to Lead," triggered buzz about his entry into politics. Now, he began transforming his fan clubs into grassroots political machines as early as 2009 with the Vijay People Movement, or the Vijay Makkal Iyakam. In 2022, the VMI grabbed 115 seats in the local body elections. In 2024 is when he launched his party, the TVK, as an alternative to Dravidian politics, which is the DMK and the AIADMK in Tamil Nadu. Now, what does the TVK stand for? The ideology. The ideology mixes Tamil linguistic pride with social justice and secular values. This is really interesting. The party draws from leaders like Periyar, Ambedkar and Kamraj, focusing on equality for all, of all births, two-language policy and strong democracy. It also calls itself center-left, and it talks about egalitarianism and helping the common man. At the same time, Vijay has been very blunt about whom he considers his political enemies. Now, he has labelled DMK his political enemy because of what he calls corruption and dynastic rule. At the same time, he's called the BJP his ideological enemy because he says it is a force that pushes divisive right-wing politics and goes against Tamil Nadu's secular and Dravidian spirit. Vijay has also ruled out any alliance with the BJP, calling it fascist and refusing to surrender the party's respect. The clear stand that has helped the TVK position itself is its very proud Tamil voice that reflects the old Dravidian establishment of Periyar and sees basically all national parties as outsiders. So the stance he has positioned himself as a genuine sort of alternative for Tamil Nadu. Remember, the state has sort of been stuck between the DMK and AIADMK for decades, both of them claiming the Dravidian mantle of social justice and Tamil pride. So it had started to become very stale because they sound a lot like each other, and the DMK has been hit a lot by corruption charges. The AIADMK is weakened after the death of Jayalalitha. So Vijay largely avoided taking on Udayanidhi Stalin or Edappadi Palaniswamy or any of the alliance leaders. But because he had taken such an anti-DMK stand, it was very clear what he stood for, and the anti-incumbency votes went straight to him without getting fragmented at all. The campaign also saw TVK expand beyond Vijay's traditional fan base. Apparently, the party attracted minorities, fisher folk, and Dalit voters. Remember, Tamil Nadu has a very long coast, so fisher folk are an important category. And Dalit workers who largely had up till then been backing the DMK and its allies, but the minority votes appeared to split between these constituencies. Vijay himself is Christian, although during the course of this campaign and otherwise, he visited churches and temples and mosques. Immediately after the election results were out, he also visited the Sai Baba temple. So he's made it very clear to position himself as a leader for all communities and sort of stand with this whole secular idea. The secular messaging has helped the TVK distance itself from any polarization, which has historically not been very popular in Tamil Nadu politics. Then, the sort of religious divide has not really won in that state up till now. So the TVK also made a lot of gains among women voters, a section that has largely shifted towards DMK. So basically, when Jayalalitha was around, when the former late Chief Minister Jayalalitha was around, the women voted for her because she understood them and she built a system that worked for them. After she passed away, they were disillusioned with the AIADMK, they moved to the DMK. It seems now that they have moved to the TVK because he's offering such a clean system. He's talking to the youth, he's talking about anti-corruption, he's talking about empowerment, he's talking about removing the dynastic sort of politics, the arrogance of the current leaders. And also, I'm sure it helps that he's so cute. And that's also why the women find him interesting. But that, don't take me too seriously there. Now, let's talk about the TVK leaders. The interesting thing about Vijay's campaign, Vijay's win, was that a lot of people felt like, hey, okay, so that's his party. Who are the people who are with him? We don't really know, but who is going to form his cabinet? Now, the key members of his circle are N. Anand, Adav Arjuna, Sengotian, Arjun Raj, Nirmal Kumar, and a strategist called John Arokyaswamy, who handled the legal, organizational, digital political operations through the campaign. This was the core team that was steering the TVK through the multiple challenges. And you remember the Karur stampede, and after that, the CBI case and the fact that he was personally summoned so many times by the CBI, repeated issues over campaign permissions and candidate selections. The strategist John Arokyaswamy apparently was the fulcrum of that inner circle, and sources say he played a major role in opposing any alliance with the NDA after that row that had happened. So MK Stalin also, you'll remember some of the key names. MK Stalin lost his Kolathur constituency to VS Babu of the TVK. VS Babu started his career with the DMK, incidentally. He worked as a grassroots organizer. He entered the Tamil Nadu Assembly in 2006, so he's an old, experienced hand. Internal changes in the DMK, the rise of the senior leaders, and he started to get demoted. His responsibilities were getting eroded, and finally he just exited the party. After that, he worked with the AIADMK for a while, and then finally in February this year he has joined the TVK, and he was fielded against MK Stalin in Kolathur, and he won by 8,795 votes. So that was a really interesting candidate. Another interesting candidate in the TVK is R. Sabrinathan. He is the 30-year-old son of Vijay's longtime driver. Apparently, this man has been working with Vijay since his first film came out as an adult star. Now, Sabrinathan has won an assembly seat, the Virugambakam assembly seat, underlining this sort of deep personal connect that TVK has during its rise. And there's a visual that is going viral on social media of this young man, Sabrinathan, and his father in tears as they hug Vijay after this victory. So it's that sort of emotion and that sort of like social media connect that has been doing really well. So what impressed the voters? Many voters who had once backed the DMK, especially the younger ones in urban centers like Chennai, Coimbatore, Madurai, have switched to Vijay. Why? Obviously, one is massive anti-incumbency. We saw that play out in all of the elections. Pinarayi Vijayan in Kerala faced it, Mamata Banerjee has faced it, and of course MK Stalin as well. The DMK government was facing allegations of corruption. They had not kept promises about jobs, about women's safety. There was a sense that the party had grown too comfortable or too arrogant in their power. And Vijay's campaign hammered home the points, really. He did not pull any punches. His rallies drew huge crowds of first-time voters and entire families, and he kept promising a clean alternative to what Tamil Nadu was currently experiencing. And his focus was on creating jobs, improving education, and a drug-free Tamil Nadu. In effect, the TVK didn't just split the anti-DMK vote; it took that entire base. The TVK itself has basically replaced the DMK in a lot of these ways. But here's the interesting thing: there is no history, there is no experience in government. The party still fought all 234 seats, rejecting tie-ups with anyone. And that independence initially, people are like, okay, man, is that, is your confidence misplaced? But it turns out he knew what he was doing. Vijay, one of Tamil's biggest superstars with a massive following, was able to turn that following into votes, which not everybody else has done. In fact, many turned up to the booths wearing party colors during voting, saying Vettri Nichayam, which means that victory is almost certain. The high turnout, especially among first-time and young voters, has really helped TVK in the polls. But the difference, remember at the beginning I told you that there is a Zorad Mamdani sort of connect that has happened here. This campaign was less like a political campaign and more like the release of a massive film, because he did what he knows best, which is films, right? So he did teaser style messaging. They put out trailers, they put out viral content, high impact digital outreach, and they leveraged their network of some 85,000 fan clubs across the world. And they transformed their supporters into influencers, right? Into what they virtual warriors, micro-influencers. So they leaned heavily on holograms, AI content, virtual rallies, hyper-local messaging, clear focus on first-time voters and their families. So women, incidentally, accounted for 80% of the additional votes, according to the consultants who were tracking this election. And marketing experts say the strategy worked because it relied on peer-driven communication rather than political messaging. What does it mean? It means that they sent out a video or a message to their fans and said, please forward it to everybody you know. So the fan who would have otherwise been in any political campaign, would have been the target or the receiver of the message, actually became a part of the campaign and was pushing it forward. And so circulating on WhatsApp groups, circulating on social media threads, local networks, there was heavy reliance on organic messaging and not so much on paid promotion. So the audience became the medium of the message. And Vijay's final call, and this was really interesting, towards the end of voting, he called for a youth tsunami. He asked, and he has a lot of kids, a lot of children who are not voting yet, who are his fans and young voters, and he urged them to go annoy their parents to vote for him. So go home and force your families to vote for me. And it sparked a wave of viral reels, some featuring exaggerated, provocative lines on social media telling their loved ones to vote for Vijay. So the observers say the campaign prioritized an emotional appeal. So it was about sort of reaching out to you emotionally rather than political articulation. He also, towards midway of his campaign, decided that he is going to go down the welfare or the freebies route. So he's promised jobs, he's promised loans to women who are working in self-help groups. He has promised some 8 grams of gold and a silk sari for every bride. So there's a lot of that has also happened, but the messaging has been clearer and reached home because of a social media campaign that was run very astutely, very sharply, very carefully. Now, if you're asking whether Vijay's political success is a Gen Z victory, a lot of people were asking yesterday, is this Gen Z? It's partially Gen Z, it's not entirely Gen Z. If you look at the numbers, right? So voters in Tamil Nadu aged between 18 and 29, what about 1.2 crore? So 12 million voters came up. So that's 21% of the entire voter base were these young voters. And because he has that youth following, because of his film career, his messaging of anti-corruption, anti-establishment, system change really resonated with young people. And he leaned heavily on that global outreach. But while young voters are a significant block, it's not all of it, it's not enough to win an election. So there was a shift of political sort of messaging, a celebrity, an outsider, a reform narrative. This person is not part of the structure in any way, which means that he'll come in and drain the swamp, if you know where we've heard that one before. So he's brought in a very interesting sort of structure, and I feel personally that this method of campaigning is going to become interesting going forward. Remember, this is how Mamdani won New York. This is the kind of promise that Donald Trump made in his first campaign for president. He said, I'm not part of the structure, I'm not part of the establishment, I want to come in from outside, I'm going to clean it up, and you can rely on me for something different. And I'm not saying that he's anything like Donald Trump, but I'm saying that the messaging of an outsider coming in with a strong social media campaign really resonates, and that's something perhaps for all politicians to think about. Now we'll come to the important part of the video. Where is the support going to come from? So he needs those 11 seats. One space to get it from is the Congress. Those conversations have already started, but the Congress has only 5 seats. Apart from that, there's a list of the other allies that I told you, who altogether add up to another 9. So 9 plus 5 will take him across that finish line. Talk of an alliance between Congress and the TVK has become the biggest storyline coming out of Tamil Nadu right now. There's a lot of speculation at this point. Congress leaders have openly said a tie-up with Vijay would have been electorally divisive. So there are some Congress leaders who've come out and said that there was a conversation before the election for the Congress to tie up with the TVK, and if they had done so, they would have swept the state. But apparently the older Congress leaders, and there was one mention of P. Chidambaram, older Congress leaders said, no, DMK is our ally, we cannot leave DMK, we should stay with DMK. And so that is the outcome that we're looking at right now. In fact, Tamil Nadu Congress in charge Girish Jodankar has admitted that many in the party had favored tying up with the TVK, but compulsions of the India bloc kept the alliance intact, because obviously Congress and DMK are long-time allies. Also, there's a question of what is the India bloc now without Mamata Banerjee, without Pinarayi Vijayan, because they will not be as strong in the bloc anymore. So one expects that that makes the Congress party even stronger. Does the TVK form part of the India bloc or no? We don't know. So there is the DMK leader has said that TVK cannot come into power with only Congress, so they're going to need other possibilities. The AIADMK might not be a possibility because the AIADMK is with the BJP. And TVK has made it very clear that the BJP's politics is something that it cannot participate in. So that one's off the table as well. So party insiders have told NDTV apparently that the TVK is counting on the backing from DMK's allies. So Congress, CPI 2 seats, CPIM 2 seats, and the VCK 2 seats. And that would actually not only leave a brutally defeated DMK out in the cold, but out in the cold alone, because all of his allies will abandon it for the TVK, and that's something that we're likely to see actually play out. So that's possibly going to happen in the next 24 hours, and we'll see something come through. In the meantime, here is a party that has come out of literally nowhere, has promised an outsider view to what the state has experienced now for many years, and people are sick and tired of more of the same thing. They want something different. Very interestingly, he also went for a very minimal exposure, maximum impact sort of thing. There were no interviews, a few interviews, controlled appearances, no overexposure. He was not seen speaking to anybody powerful. He was seen on the ground with the people all the time. Deliberately clean image, anti-corruption, governance first messaging, avoiding any sort of caste rhetoric, at least publicly. It was usually, Tamil Nadu elections are deeply structured around caste blocks and welfare politics, but he tried to push a different narrative, and he brought in a lot of urban support, not just rural support. So the timing is also very interesting at a time when there is what is being called a charisma vacuum, because the DMK's charisma was really M. Karunanidhi, and of course the AIADMK was Jayalalitha, because they were very popular movie star leaders, and they're both gone now. So there's no real big movie star to woo the people of Tamil Nadu, and here he is. So the big caveat, of course, is where is the alliance going to come from, and how are they going to form that government. It's likely that many DMK allies are going to abandon the DMK and join with the TVK, and they'll have a new chief minister very, very soon. It'll be interesting to see how many of those promises he's able to keep, how much of his pre-electoral persona remains once he is in power, because winning an election and running an administration are two separate parts of being a politician. So all the best to Vijay, and let's see how he does. Leave me a comment in the comment section on what you think of movie stars who turn into politicians. Do you think that it is a sustainable, healthy way to run politics?